One moment. All right, so my name is Chris Perra, and I'm the Lower River Habitat Coordinator for Yakima Nation. And I'll be presenting today with Zacavish, our collaborator from Mid-Columbia Fisheries, on the River Mile 89.5 Floodplain Reconnection Project. And this is phase 2 of the project. And the project is being led by the Yakima Nation Wildlife Resource Management Program with and they'll be leading the project. And unfortunately, the project manager couldn't join us today, but he will be leading the upcoming site visit. And in this photo is a picture of the side channel network that we're looking to reinvigorate. And there's various invasive species present there. You can see the low stagnant water and the dead cottonwood stands in the back. The project is located in the lower portion of the Yakima River and will be located entirely within the Yakima Nation Reservation. And anytime I speak about the lower river, I always like to point out that fish from the upper river must pass through the lower river twice. More specifically, our project is going to be located within the Wapato reach of the Yakima River, south of Zilla and to the east of Toppenish. And one nice thing about our project is much of the lands are already managed by the Yakima Nation Wildlife Resource Management Program, so that makes things a little bit easier. So this project is fairly ambitious. We're looking to reactivate 6.5 miles of existing off-channel habitat. And in doing so, that should improve aquifer recharge from bank storage and floodplain storage from infiltration of overbank floodwaters. And that'll help move around seeds from cottonwoods, reinvigorating that riparian forest that's starting to die away, as you saw in that photo. And pictured here is the targeted side channel network activated during very high flows that occurred in April 2011. And this level of inundation would have historically occurred much more frequently, but today, due to irrigation diversions, only occurs rarely. And so what this project is aspiring to do is to make this level of inundation occur much more frequently once the project. So taking a closer look at the hydrograph for the Wapato Reach, you can see that green line there is the estimated stream flow that would have occurred at Union Gap without regulation. And then the red is the current average stream flow at Union Gap with regulation. And so this side channel network that we're targeting right now has a stream flow cutoff of 7,000 CFS in order for flow to occur in the channel. And Interfluve did some HICRES hydraulic modeling for us, and they found that at that threshold level, only flow occurs in that side channel network only 21 days on average per year. So once the project is completed, we hope that we'll be able to lower that threshold flow down to 1,000 CFS, which according to our modeling will increase the number of days where we have continuous flow occurring through the network up to 225 days per year. And we chose that 1,000 CFS threshold level to make sure that we weren't dewatering the main stem Yakima River during low flow periods. And as some of you probably have noticed when you're driving by the Wapato Reach, it does look fairly lush. There is a large riparian forest present there, but a lot of that riparian forest is relict and is no longer being rejuvenated. And part of that reason is because of the disconnection of the floodplain by roads, by levees. And taking a look at the levees in the Wapato Reach, we can see that the levees really don't provide much floodplain protection. the 1996 flood inundation just bypassed those levees. And one of those levees is located, the southernmost levee within our project area. And taking a closer look at that, our targeted stream or our targeted side channel network does cross over that levee. And it's important to state this project is not going to make any new levee breaches, but fortunately, a levee breach occurred in 2007 at the site where the side channel currently crosses the levee. And so we'll be looking to enhance what has already occurred there and rejuvenate the southern portion of our project area. So phase one of this project has already been completed, and that involved installing inlet structures at the head of these side channels. The structures are functioning as intended. This photo was taken shortly after installation, but since then, the area has been revegetated and is now much greener. So, stating our project goals more overtly, we're really looking to make sure that these side channels see more consistent and frequent active flows, going from 21 days per year in the current state to 225 days per year in the rejuvenated state. And in doing so, this will revitalize the natural processes that should be occurring on over 900 acres of floodplain, including 130 acres of delineated wetlands. And of course, anytime we're working in floodplains, we're going to make sure that we maintain safety for people and property going forward. Taking a closer look at what we're doing on this project, you can see those two phase one inlet structures marked as the yellow dots in the top left corner of the map. And then the green lines represent where we're going to enhance the existing side channel network. So more specifically, what we're looking to do with the side channel network, we're going to excavate and grade portions of the side channels to remove accumulated sediment and ensure increased connectivity. We're going to add engineered log structures at the outlet, and also as well enhance the beaver dam and other actions to make sure that the outlets don't dewater. And Zach Zacavish will speak further to how this project will affect beavers later in the presentation. And then, of course, once we're done, we're going to revegetate any areas that were disturbed during project construction. We do have 100% completed design for the project. Boxes in this figure kind of shows the areas where we're going to be performing more work within the project boundaries. Yeah, sorry, Sean, I'll try to speak looking at my computer. And I'll pass it off now to Zach to speak to how this project addresses the Steelhead recovery plan.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. So yeah, looking at the recovery actions, this kind of directly attributes that lower main stem action number 7 about protecting and restoring floodplain habitats below Sunnyside. The restoring beaver populations is a bit of a stretch, but when you think of 7 miles of a riverine wetland mosaic type habitat, it kind of explores that idea that opening up this will provide additional beaver usages and water retention and kind of that on-site management of that those organisms allow us to put there. And again, as Chris mentioned earlier, the cottonwoods aren't doing great with that historic cutoff and low inundation rates, so that goes to the Basin Wide Action 12. And again, with 900 acres here, this is a landscape scale restoration project that will address forest health in a section of a river that is still very dynamic, but some of those historic levees and constrictions confine some areas of it. Next slide. So yeah, so kind of diving into that landscape scale restoration. This site's kind of hard in the lower river because fish usage isn't, there's not a lot of robust data on fish usage. But as Chris said earlier, the fish do have to use it on the way out and the way back in. And this would directly impact and increase habitat heterogeneity for all organisms, not only steelhead, lamprey, beaver, cottonwoods. I mean, this has the chance to be a very complex riverine mosaic. Chris is the groundwater guy, so just looking at all the literature he brought to the table in the grant application, increasing that groundwater storage over this large forest seems like a very critical thing that will uplift water quality and potentially kind of cool that water down, especially if the river decides to come over a little bit further into that area and flow through that forest. And again, restoring that lower river habitat mosaic that historically would have been there, kind of a wide sprawling Yakima River. Next slide. Yeah, and this picture was like kind of one of my favorite. Got a good chuckle about this. I'm not sure how many beaver dams I know of that have a lawn growing on top of them, but here's one of them. And again, I think this, while the project will remove that beaver dam as we go through there. Right now, it's kind of a barrier in a way, if we think of a free moving side channel. So 21 days, inundation a year, increased stranding risk. As we move up to over 200, I'd say less of a stranding risk. And again, activating it and inundating it more frequently will kind of provide that natural balance that the beaver and the river have together, where these beaver structures are not permanent installations on the riverscape. So the goal, again, it's not to remove the beavers for this action or this objective, is just to get some of that lack of inundation, buildup of sediment out of the system, but also increase the health of the forest around it so the beaver could still actively manage the area for us. And the end goal, I think, is to increase that habitat mosaic for fish usage. Next slide. And again, this is a survey done in 2017 before phase 1, and you could see those locations of beaver dams. So intuition and how this kind of, what I think of when I look at this, if 6.5 miles of side channel are activated more frequently, forest health is uplifted, one could deduce that more beaver are possible off into that side channel wetland mosaic and potentially pushing water through that forest in different ways, even beyond what we are inundating right now. Next slide. And yeah, again, I think this goes back to the main goal, maintaining that active flow for more than the 20 days, getting it up to 200, and still during those low flow conditions, that cutoff point I think is critical. So it's not a barrier at any point in robbing the main stem Yakima of flows during that summertime period for any migratory fish coming in. And next slide.
Yeah, so winding down this presentation, I just want to leave you guys with the image of this figure. This is the HEC-RES modeling we did at 3,000 cubic feet per second. And what you can see is under existing conditions, the side channel network has no continuous flow occurring through it. But then once we implement the project, you can really see the large length of side channel that becomes activated. So how are we going to make this project happen? Well, we recognize it's a high budget project, but we believe it's very cost effective per mile, 6.5 miles of newly reactivated channel. We do have existing funding from the U.S. Forest Service and BPA for permitting. So our total ask to Surfboard is $800,000 with a $220,000 match. We'll implement in 2023 and 2024. And then we anticipate O&M costs to be low. And we also believe this project to be of low risk. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Thank you, Chris and Zach.
Yeah, this is Sean. I had a question. Thanks for the presentation, guys. So it sounds like you want to remove introduce more flow, remove these beavers or beaver dams to allow some kind of, degradation of the channel, some kind of deepening. Why wouldn't you expect with beavers recolonizing the area after that to just sort of recreate, the same sort of depths? I guess maybe I don't understand the details of the project. Like, what changes are you making with the project to sediment routing through the system? If you're not constructing an inlet and you're not reaching any dike, how are you getting water in there more often?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Sean. And I should clarify that we're not seeking to expatriate the beavers from the side channel habitat. Really what we're doing is to remove the really old, that one really old dam that had the grass growing on top. And then once we get you saw those inlet structures that have already been constructed. And then once we do the other work to connect the disconnected side channel network, our expectation is that the flows that come through the side channel network would be able to naturally clean out and manage those beaver dams more adequately in the future. Hopefully that addresses your question.
Chris, I'd kind of piggyback on that. I think there's only 2 of those beaver dams that are kind of those perennial large, not perennial, but they just haven't had the inundation rates to kind of knock them back. And the one is not active. And again, in the application, I think it's only 2 of these sites that would be addressed with those beaver dams. So we're not getting rid of all the beaver dams. It's just those soil plugs, the cottonwoods that had died and fallen in. It's just excavating some of that out of the channel, so that channel is free flowing and not just getting hitting the next soil plug and making a pond. So it's making an active 6.5 miles of side channel habitat.
I guess I'll ask another question since nobody else is. You guys talked a lot about cottonwoods and forest revitalization. What is the mechanism here by which you think that cottonwood health is going to be improved? Like what's your hypothesis for why these cottonwoods aren't doing well and how specifically this project would help them?
Yeah, so part of the problem with the Wapato Reach is that when the cottonwoods release their seeds, it's not always when the high flows in spring are occurring. So there's more work that's also going to need to be done to adequately ensure that we get the proper timing on flow releases when the cottonwood seeds are also released. But in general, having a larger period of time where water is moving through these side channels, it's more likely that'll coincide with when the cottonwoods are dropping their seeds and hopefully, move those seeds around throughout the wetland. But of course, that task, managing flows in the Wapato Reach, is a bit beyond the scope of this project, but it is something that we're working on studying as well.
Yeah, it seems to me you'd need locations within your network where you have erosion or deposition kind of processes for seedling recruitment. I mean, I don't know if you're going to let in enough flow to cause, those types of events. Is that what you're planning?
Yeah, so I think the project would let in enough flow to assist with those events. It's just that how flows are currently managed on the Wapato Reach, that may not coincide with seed dispersal. So there's additional kind of policy steps that probably need to be taken to make that happen, and that's not, you know, a project specific action. That'll have to happen more at the basin wide scale.
Anybody else have any questions?
I had a quick one. Is there any kind of data on how much sediment is accumulated in those channels? Because I know I've been back there hunting before, and they're awfully muddy. I'm just wondering, do you have any data on, you know, the depth of fines before you hit cobble and gravel?
Yeah, I believe that information is in the 100% design, but off the top of my head, I'm not familiar with how much is actually in there. That'd be a good question for Bridger or to bring up during the site visit.
Okay. The designs are attached to the proposal, though, right?
I believe they are, and if they're not, just let us know and we can get those sent.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe I attached them, Chris.
Any other questions? Well, hearing none, thank you very much, Chris and Zach. And we'll look forward to seeing this site and getting to meet Bridger in person finally too.